53,000 people displaced by last night's floods in Accra alone, with 53,000 people affected across the country as fatalities rise.
Times like this, first we look for a safe haven, a place to put them, like churches, like the mosques, the classrooms, schools are on breaks.
As more people die from flood and related disasters, cash-strapped NADMO says debt has rendered it ineffective in time of need.
Times like this, first we look for a safe haven, a place to.
As I sit here right now, I have about 28 court cases, so we've been paying the debt. Because of that, we do not get much money to buy relief items currently. As we sit here this year, we've not been able to buy anything.
Already, Parliament's Public Accounts Committee is asking NADMO to stop complaining and get to work. We have details.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
And Top Story is always brought to you by Bond Savings and Loans. Your success are passion. GasM, the nation builder. Vodafone. The future is exciting, ready, and nationwide health insurance. Now, the National Disaster Management Organization is tonight releasing shocking statistics of the total number of displaced people from last night's floods, which has already claimed 5 lives. We are now learning as many as 30,000 people have been displaced in the capital alone. The figure is even more shocking for the entire country, standing at a total of 53,000 people plus. Now, listen to the NADMO Director of Operations, Joyce Zampari.
Well, the breakdown with the regions, as at last weekend, we had Central Region, we had 3,552 persons displaced in the Central Region. Yeah.
Okay.
Then in the Northern Region, we had 12,200, and then Eastern Region, they said the figure is not the round figure, but they're giving us a raw figure. That's about 8,500. Well, when in times like this, first we look for a safe haven, a place to put them, like churches, like the mosques, the classrooms. Schools are on break, some schools are on break, so we look, and then we also call on them to go to family members if they have them. Then we look at the few items that NADMO have to help support them before. Yeah, is it that you have nothing? In fact, half-baked bread is better than.
Well, the 3-hour rain yesterday left at least 5 people dead and 4 missing and several properties destroyed. 4 of the 7 bodies were recovered from floodwaters as Ajay Kojo and suburb of Accra. The deceased were part of a number of unidentified persons traveling in a military pickup vehicle that veered off a bridge and plunged into rapid floodwaters during the heavy downpour. The National Disaster Management Organization, the state agency at the forefront of managing the effects of disaster, say they are helpless in the situation due to primarily the inadequate resources. More on that shortly, but first, my colleague Kojo Yangsing spent last night and this morning on the aftermath of the rains. He's been interacting with my colleague MF Apao.
Ajay Kojo is one of the suburbs along the motorway when you're heading towards Tema. And there is a particular spot on the motorway where in the center between the Tema to Accra lane and the Accra to Tema lane, there is a massive gaping hole looking down into a flowing water body, a culvert, if you will, a waterway that transfers water from the Tema area, from the northern parts of Tema, down into the sort of southwestern part of Tema. Now, this is a well-known spot for people who ply the road often, but for those who don't, it is a very easy spot to miss, especially when it has rained and water has covered the surface of the motorway so that you can't see the edges.
Okay, so tell us about this particular incident where we're told about this military pickup and a husband and a wife who are both military men losing their lives, with an 11-month-old baby also being missing. What exactly did residents tell you about this incident?
Right. What I learned was that this incident occurred between 8 and 9 p.m. last night. This military pickup was returning apparently from a funeral, so it was on the Tema to Accra side of the motorway. The rain obviously made it difficult for the driver to see the edges of the motorway, and just as he came to this culvert, he skidded off the road, and the entire pickup plunged into the overflowing waters below. Now, in the pickup were, according to eyewitnesses, a number of people in the bed of the pickup or the bucket of the pickup, and then there were 4 adults and a baby in the cabin of the pickup. These adults, who unfortunately lost their lives, Warrant Officer Jabez Arthur, a 45-year-old, his wife, Warrant Officer Sarah Kwaji, who is also 40 years old, and then in the back seat were Alice Ahin, a 35-year-old, and Georgina Ahin, also 35. Now, Georgina is reported to be the daughter of a very highly ranked military officer, and she was the one traveling with the 11-month-old baby. Now, all of them, unfortunately, could not be rescued because after the pickup plunged into the water, those in the bed were able to swim free and were rescued, but the pickup disappeared. It simply got washed away too fast, and the water engulfed it before any of the passengers could escape. Unfortunately, all 4 adults have been found. The baby is still yet to be recovered.
We can hear from some residents who've been interacting with Kojo.
You will see the water full up. In short, you will not like to see it total. That is why the people die. It's full. You can't enter there. If you don't have the heart, you cannot enter, sir.
And it happens a lot. How many times do you remember that it's happened?
Oh, this thing happened the last time. This is making second time. When I was here, this is making second time.
And run a job 8 to 9. And I'm obedient to the cabin. Cabin accident. I told you, Mamma Dimrica no mobile. I'm about no cranium near who can. But never be so happy.
Last night around 8 p.m., someone came to announce that a car was being washed away. When we finally got here, we realized the car had disappeared, but some individuals were able to swim to the sides. We understand an 11-month-old baby was in the car. A married couple was also in the car. The situation here is really troubling.
Well, that's some residents there interacting with you, Kojo, but you also had the opportunity to interact with the Tema Mayor, Felix Niama, and he was talking about why there was no need for these railings on the road. Tell us more about that interaction you had with him.
Well, the mayor, who has been up all night with the members of NADMO conducting the rescue, was trying to explain that these barriers that would have prevented the car from going into the water are under the jurisdiction of the Roads and Highways Authority. And so, and he suggested that if it wasn't for the rain, there wouldn't actually be any problem with the fact that there is no barrier or the barrier is broken. Let's hear him.
If this place had not been blocked, it is not an issue at all. This is an accident, and it has happened because the driver cannot see his way clear. So let's accept it like that. We shouldn't apportion blames as to who is supposed to do what. And if not because of the rain, there is no way any driver will veer off the road and enter this
So
drain.
to be clear, what you're saying is that the fact that this place is not guarded is not an issue?
Because of the accident, if we have to do something about it, fine. But as you can see the vehicles moving, I don't think it's an issue. But because of what has happened, we have to take lessons of what has happened today and maybe do something about it. That is exactly what I was trying to say, that I will communicate with the Ghana Highway Authority, and so that together we'll look at what we can do.
Let's now speak to the Deputy National Coordinator for NADMO, Ms. Abu Ramadan. Mr. Ramadan, thank you for your time here on Top Story.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I know you've been on the ground on your feet all night. What is the update as of now?
As of now, we've still not been able to recover some few bodies, and the search is still ongoing for the little boy at Ajekojo, who the baby, and also the man who was pushed into the Odo River yesterday at Seko, who we've not been able to retrieve the body, and the other two in Ablekuma. So the search is still ongoing for the bodies. We are hoping, if not by close of day today, maybe tomorrow, first thing in the morning, we'll be able to find those bodies. You
raise one point about somebody was pushed. Do we know, this is a potential criminal matter? Has that been reported to the police?
Oh, fortunately, immediately the incident occurred. There were policemen around who apparently were helping in the rescue operation. They quickly arrested the culprit and has been locked up at the police station since last night.
So in all, how many more missing individuals are you still searching for? You talk about bodies. I mean, how many are you looking for now?
Well, now we're looking for a total of 3. One, the little boy at Ajay Kojo, and the man who was pushed at Odona, and the Ablekuma person who we've still not found. So 3 people, you know.
And we're hearing figures from NADMO tonight. We've been speaking to Joyce Zampari, talking about so far in Accra alone, some 30,000 people displaced. Is that? Can you confirm that figure for me?
You know, Evans, most of the times when the disaster occurs or the flooding occurs, you must have a SWOT analysis of the situation to help you prepare. But as I talk to you, we're putting down together further data to give you accurate figures, and I'm sure by close of day this evening, we would have been able to furnish you with accurate figures. The first one, Joseph Parry put out, yes, those were SWOT numbers that were put out. So by close of day, my men are still working on it, so we'll give you the actuals on the ground.
Okay, so what it means is that these are provisional figures. You've got it, the 30,000. Okay, and these numbers could either go up or could come down,
precisely,
based on what you know. But be that as it may, 30,000 provisional figures is still very, very high.
Even it's because the areas that were hit in Accra alone, the areas that were hit, Soto, Ablekuma, Seko, Odona, Kaneshi, First Light, Dakuma, Agege, Agbogba, Adenta Commando, Taifa Junction, Ashaliboche, Aloboshi, Domi Pillar 2, Paraku Estate, Ajay Kojo area, the incident at Ajay Kojo. Okay, let's take the Ajay Kojo area out. And you go to Ridge here around Sunny FM, Asham and Lebanon Zone. All these places were hit by the rainfalls. So these are almost about 8 to 9 communities that were having affected across.
So these 30,000 displays, are we housing them anywhere, or is there shelter somewhere for them?
You see the displacement comes in forms. They've been displaced, but because the water has receded and normalcy has returned in most of the places, we will have them go back into their homes or into where they live. But the second phase of it is to look at their source of livelihood, alternative source of livelihood for them, whether by virtue of the rains the livelihood has been affected, and if so, what alternative arrangement do we put in place? So that's why I say by close of day today, our men would have been able to finish with all that analysis and all that data for action to be taken tomorrow.
Mr. Ramadan, this is April, and we're only talking about 30,000 provisional numbers of people who may be displaced. You must be very, very worried, and everybody might be as well, because we can you imagine what will happen in May, June, July, when the peak of the rain is expected?
Evans, it was forecast that this year's rains will be heavier than last year, and this year's rains too is worrying because it's going to come and be accompanied by strong winds too as well. And we put ourselves in readiness for the rains, and I can tell you, we've not gotten to the peak yet, but I don't think it will be a difficult problem to surmount by God's grace. We will rise up to the challenge to see how to alleviate or bring down the impact of it.
Are you ready?
Evans, from my position as Deputy Director General Operations, I'll say my men are ready, because we've had a lot of watermanship training exercises for our people in readiness towards the rains that are coming in. And I can tell you, in terms of tactical operation and response, we are fully ready on the ground. There will be others that we're waiting for, but for now, tactically, we are ready on the ground to respond.
I asked that because of what transpired before Parliament today, and I wanted to reconcile that with your preparedness for me. Your colleague, Director General Eric Nana Agyeman-Prempeh, told Parliament's Accounts Committee today that the organization is simply incapable of meeting demands on them.
34 million, which as I sit here right now, I have about 28 court cases. So we've been paying the debt. Because of that, we do not get much money to buy relief items currently. As we sit here this year, we've not been able to buy anything. But we still own 2016, and even the little we were able to do in 2017. So these are some of the problems. But I would say we don't have enough resources.
So you have wished that enough resources provided, you pay the debts, and then also provide some level of amount for you to get some items ready. We are entering into the rainy season.
Yes.
Do we wait until there's a disaster before we start rushing to go and ask suppliers? And that will lead you to the issue about procurement.
Yes, yes.
Procurement problems.
Exactly so.
So the committee should recommend that we provide more resources for the agency, the NADMO.
Yes, Honorable Chair.
I think I wanted to come on the same issues, just to remind you, like my chairman said, that the rains have already started. And I wanted to know if you are adequately stocked for emergencies that are going to come. They are inevitable. We are seeing them. Are you adequately stocked now, or still going to be firefighting?
Yeah, Honorable Chair, we don't have enough. We don't have enough. Any arrangement or any push by the committee to press for more resources to support NADMO will be welcome.
I'm sure the finance minister has heard us, so don't worry. Thank you.
Yeah, but let me say this. In order that we don't get people unduly alarmed, yes, we do not have money that's designated for NADMO, and we'll be happy to have some of it. But having said so, we react to situations that need support, and we are able to work. I'm sure you, the accountants, know better than me. But certainly we could do a lot more resources than we have now. Thank you.
Mr. Ramadan, can you reconcile that for me?
Evans, your question was, are we prepared?
Yes.
The question of the Director General was, are we prepared? I said, tactically, for response, we are adequately prepared for. Secondly, the fact that the Director General says, yes, we need resources. Even FEMA in America, one of the most resource disaster response agency in the world, will still tell you they don't have enough logistics to run their activity. We don't have enough, but whatever we have, we are making good use of it, and we are getting ourselves ready. It doesn't mean that today, when a disaster strikes today, the little one to run us for a day or two, or run the system for a day or two, is not available. But if it happens on a larger scale, it will create a bigger problem. That's why my boss will say we don't have enough. Yes, but then the little we have, we are working around, and we are going to make sure that we put it to good use before the bigger one comes. That's why when you asked me, I said yes. There are others that we will still expect to come, aside our preparedness and aside all that we've put in place, our readiness in terms of tactical readiness and all of that.
How much would NADMO need to really be effective? Have you estimated your need this year, for example, doing your calculations and estimations, knowing our history?
I don't think properly it's properly situated for me to speak to numbers. We've submitted a proposal to Finance Ministry, the beginning of before the budget was read, and it's been considered. So let's wait and see what Finance Ministry gives.
Before the budget was read, this was in November.
Yes, we submitted a budget proposal.
And we said this was in November. Yes. The budget was read in November, so you submitted before November. We are in April, and you're saying it's being considered.
No, you see, NADMO budget comes in different forms. We have the relief budget for relief items. We have budget for goods and services. We have budget for the common fund and all of that. So as and when the need for it to be released, it will be released. But I'm saying, as to the figure we submitted, as to whether it's been approved in its entirety, that's what I say. I wouldn't speak to numbers on air. It wouldn't be appropriate for me to be speaking to numbers off air.
Okay. Now, finally, tell me, for those who are still displaced tonight, are fearing about the impending rains as forecasted by Met Agency, what do you tell them?
Our men will be around to take care of them, and our men are still in the field, and we would encourage others who have not been displaced yet to heed to weather warnings when they come, to move away from low-lying areas. And even yesterday, yes, as late as maybe it was, we've started a cycle of now sending emergency weather warnings to the media houses, and we'll plead with the media houses to take them as breaking news and cut into transmission and announce to the Ghanaian people, so that people will be ready for the rains that will come. So I would urge those who are displaced to be patient. Whatever is due them and will make them comfortable, we'll make sure we will find and bring to them immediately.
Thank you very much, Abu Ramadan there. We'll go to the question about NADMO is reactionary, but what about averting the deaths in the first place? The sanitation minister has been touring the capital tonight and has some solutions that she's offering and plans to desil drains. We'll get into that shortly. The interior minister has also been wading into this in the wake of the deaths. Ambrose Derry has described the deaths as regrettable.
This morning I got information that on the motorway there was a flooding aspect that claimed 4 lives, and we've heard other lives have also been claimed, and the honorable member for Kumbungu has also alluded to the situation in his constituency. Let me say that we want to express our condolences to the bereaved families and to assure that we will do whatever we can to assess the situation. Chairman, I think I agree with you that it's left with NADMO now to write to the various assemblies, drawing their attention to the menace of billboards. Although their chair, the DCEs, MDCEs chair them, it's not the case that they have information about all these things. So we need to write to them and we'll work together to see what we can do. But I believe that we're also working with the Ministry for Works and Housing about the areas that get flooded, and we will do our best to see what we can work out. But certainly we must say that it's regrettable that we are losing lives, and we're going to work hard, and we expect that this committee also plays part to support us in mobilizing resources for the NADMO. But for me, I'm going to work with the Ministry of Finance to see what support we can get.
Well, he also shows that those affected will be helped and assisted by government.
Well, the solution is going to be multifaceted. There are many aspects of the flooding. One is the technical engineering part, which will be dealt with by Works and Housing. Then for NADMO, we are dealing with the disaster part of it. Who are being affected? How can we ameliorate the effect of the flood on them? I believe that the Honorable Minister for Works and Housing has been telling the whole country about what efforts they are making. It's a regrettable situation. It's a regrettable situation, but we're going to see what we can do moving forward.
But it's troubling if you don't even have the resources to help with the disaster relief, even after the disaster breaks, isn't it? Well,
we would have relief for those who are dead. I mean, the relief you were talking about would just be palliative, maybe just going to the people, sharing condolences, and maybe giving it. That won't bring them back. But those who are affected, we will have to deal with them. No, some houses, if our houses are being affected, we might need non-food reliefs to be able to make sure that we restore their houses for them. For those who have lost belongings, we see how we will deal with it. So it depends on what the need is, and that is what the Director General is going to do. They're going to go right away and try to do it.
But he spoke of sensitization. We know also NADMO, need to help with that. NADMO need to help with assessment as to whether people should continue living in those. In the absence of resources, you can do all of those.
Yes, but the sensitization has to do with information that we send around about how we build, about putting up billboards, which end up being obstacles to this. Some of these places that we build are not supposed to be places for building. They're supposed to be waterways. But this is not a fine time to cry over spilled milk. What we have to do is fix it. And then in fixing it, we hope you're going to be behind us. You, the media, we're going to be behind us. When we decide that something is in the way of water and we say we should demolish it, I hope you'll be with us.
Well, another minister has also been waiting in, and this time Cecilia Dapa, the sanitation minister, has been speaking after she toured parts of the capital. My colleague Maxwell Baba was with her and is in the studio with me. You've been with the minister. She's been talking about some amount to be used to desil choked drains.
Yes, she talked about an allocation of 197 million Ghana cedis to be used to desil and dredge some drains here in the capital. She says the Works and Housing Ministry would be at the forefront of all of this. Contracts have been signed, so very soon they'll be getting to work. But she was particularly concerned about the general attitude towards, waste disposal. Sometime last week when we were at the other drain, what we saw was a mix of silts and then, plastics. So the problem really is recurrent. She says when we are done desilting, whoever is found, dumping indiscriminately in some of these drains will be made to face the full rigors of the law.
Government of Ghana, I am boldly saying, it's on record, that money as much as 197 million cedis has been allocated, and the contracts have been given out by the Ministry of Works and Housing. They are in charge of flood control. The works section of the ministry means hydrological works and services, and they are up to the task. We just had a meeting last Friday. They are going to add and drill down to desilting of our gutters. So when this is done, or when this is being done, we don't expect anybody, and I mean anybody, to drop anything in our gutters. I think we are all fed up with people pouring their household garbage and rubbish into drains and gutters. If you are caught, jail will be your lot. So people should desist from doing this. If you talk about bylaws, we have enough bylaws, and they are legally to be enforced by the assemblies. This is where we are. I would say that every space in Ghana is covered by an assembly.
Did they specify which particular drains will be desilted?
Yes, the project coordinator of the Greater Accra Metropolitan Area, George Isiedu, actually mentioned that about 22 drains will be desilted and dredged. He mentioned some of them as Awudome, Achimota Penkwan, Chemu Stream, the Tetegu Drain, and more.
At the moment, is to open up, improve all the channels within this area that we are known for flooding. And they have taken up a chunk of the drains. But we still have some other drains that needed to be desilted. And so they gave us those lists, which are about 22 of them. This does not mean that that's the only thing we are working on. The Western Housing is working on a lot of them, and we are taking up only 22. And so these 22 drains, we are doing desilting and then dredging to open up to improve flow. And once we remove these solid waste that normally obstruct flow, we are hoping that with the onset of the drain, of the rain, flow will be improved, and then flooding will be reduced to the barest minimum.
And as the project coordinator of the Greater Accra Metropolitan Area, George Isiedu, listen, have you been affected by this? Share with us, 0244340437. You've heard the assurances from the Interior Minister, from the Sanitation Minister. Have you heard that before? What's your own take on the assurances right now? You've heard NADMO as well, what they told Parliament in terms of resources and Abu Ramadan's own assurances of its technical readiness. Let's interrogate this together. We have more news tonight. Stay with us in a few minutes. We'll bring that to you. Remember that Top Story is always brought to you by Bond Savings and Loans. Your success, our passion. Also brought to you by Gas and Cement, the Nation Builder. Vodafone. The future is exciting, ready, and nationwide health insurance. On News Night in a few minutes, Attorney General to prosecute NDC National Chairman Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo as he's hauled before the High Court tomorrow to face conspiracy to cause harm and assault against a public officer charges slapped on him.
It's time to experience something.